Welcome back to the Fishbowl with Jade Jules. Today, we're going somewhere that I think is going to make some people uncomfortable, and that's okay because you already know that's what we do here. We don't come into the fishbowl pretending that every conversation is going to be comfortable. Sometimes we have to look at ourselves, our behavior, our communities, and the things we have normalized and ask whether we've gone too far. Today's question is one that has been sitting with me as I've watched social media, read comment after comment, watched people respond to one another, and observed the way women sometimes talk about other women. My question is simple, but I don't think the answer is simple. Have women gotten cattier? Is there a new mean girl generation? Now, before somebody gets upset and says, here we go, another woman attacking women, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not suggesting women should hold hands, sing songs of healing, wear matching dresses, and agree with one another every single day. We don't live in that world. Women are going to disagree. Women are going to compete. Women are going to have different opinions. Women are going to dislike each other sometimes. That's life. What I'm talking about is something different. I'm talking about the point where disagreement seems to turn into humiliation, where criticism turns into cruelty, where one woman sees another woman succeeding, and instead of saying, I don't agree with her, the conversation becomes, let's tear her apart. I come from what I would call the old school when it comes to how you talk to people. I was raised with the idea that if you don't have anything nice to say, sometimes the best thing you can do is say nothing at all. Now, let me clarify that because I don't want anybody thinking I believe we should never speak up. There are absolutely times when you need to say something. There are times when people need to be held accountable. There are times when somebody's behavior needs to be challenged. There are times when silence isn't appropriate. But there used to be a difference between speaking your truth and trying to destroy somebody. Today, sometimes I read a comment section and I sit there thinking, what happened? Because somebody can post a picture, accomplish something, win something, make an announcement, compete in a sport, start a business, or simply exist online. And suddenly the comments become a courtroom where everybody has been appointed judge, jury, and executioner. And what bothers me is that sometimes the criticism has absolutely nothing to do with what the person posted. It becomes about her appearance, her body, her hair, her age, her clothes, her relationship, her face, her weight, her femininity, her intelligence, or her personal life. And I'm sitting there thinking, how did we get from disagreeing with somebody's behavior to attacking their entire existence? I've seen what appear to be entire social media spaces dedicated to criticizing female athletes. And what really catches my attention is how quickly the conversation can move away from the athlete's actual accomplishment. A woman can be competing, performing, winning, losing, breaking records, representing her team, representing her school, representing her country, or simply doing the job she trained for. And somehow the conversation becomes about what she looks like. Is she pretty enough? Is she too muscular? Is she too thin? Is she too masculine? Is her hair right? Is her body right? Is her outfit right? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, wasn't she here to compete? When did her athletic ability become less important than whether strangers on the internet approve of her appearance? And here's where I want to be careful because I haven't personally followed every athlete I've seen discussed online. So I'm not going to pretend I know the entire story behind every controversy. I don't know what happened before a particular post. I don't know what somebody said privately. I don't know what happened off camera. But here's the part I do know. Do we really need a reason to participate in cruelty? If somebody did something wrong, address what they did. If someone broke a rule, talk about the rule. If someone behaved badly, criticize the behavior. But why does the conversation so often become, she's ugly, look at her body, she thinks she's all that, or whatever other personal insult people can come up with? At what point did somebody else's mistake become our invitation to humiliate them? Sometimes when I'm reading these comment sections, I literally create a picture in my head. I imagine a circle of women standing around somebody, and instead of saying, okay, here's what she did wrong, it feels like the energy is get her, hit her again, go lower, find something else, find something personal, find something that hurts. And maybe that sounds dramatic, but that's honestly how some comment sections feel. Once the pile-on starts, it almost becomes entertainment. Somebody says something cruel, another person tries to top it, somebody else adds another insult, and before long you've got hundreds or thousands of people participating in something that nobody would necessarily say if they were standing face to face with that person. And that's where social media changes the game, because behind a screen, people can forget that there is an actual human being on the other side of the comment. A username becomes a target. A photograph becomes an invitation. A public figure becomes somebody people feel entitled to attack because they believe, well, she put herself online, so she should be able to take it. But should she? That's something I want us to really think about. Does being visible mean you become available for abuse? Does becoming an athlete mean people have permission to attack your body? Does becoming an entrepreneur mean people can call you stupid? Does becoming a public figure mean strangers can say anything they want about your appearance? Does posting a picture mean you have agreed to have thousands of strangers evaluate whether you're attractive enough, thin enough, young enough, successful enough, or feminine enough? We have somehow blurred the line between public visibility and public ownership. Just because someone chooses to share part of her life doesn't mean she has surrendered her humanity. And here's the part that really bothers me. Sometimes the people participating in these attacks are other women. Women who understand what it feels like to be judged for their appearance. Women who understand what it feels like to be told they're too fat, too thin, too old, too young, too loud, too quiet, too ambitious, too emotional, too aggressive, not feminine enough, too feminine, not attractive enough, or somehow doing womanhood incorrectly. We know what that feels like. So why are we turning around and doing it to one another? Why do we sometimes know exactly where another woman's insecurity might be and then use that knowledge as a weapon? Maybe that's what makes this conversation so complicated. Women are not automatically supportive of other women simply because we're women. We have competition, we have jealousy, we have disagreements, we have insecurities. We have experiences that shape how we see one another. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend those things don't exist. But I do wonder whether social media has created a place where those normal human emotions can become public cruelty at scale. In the past, you might have disliked somebody and talked about her with your friends. Maybe 5 people knew. Today, you can have 5,000 people join the conversation in an afternoon. A little bit of jealousy can become a comment. That comment can become a viral post. The viral post can become a reaction video. The reaction video can create another comment section. And suddenly, you've created an entire ecosystem around disliking one person. And then there's something else I want to talk about: the entertainment value of the mean girl. We have been fascinated with the mean girl character for a long time. Movies, television shows, reality television, social media personalities, influencers, and online creators have sometimes turned female conflict into entertainment. The woman who has the sharp comeback gets celebrated. The woman who humiliates somebody gets called iconic. The woman who destroys another woman in an argument gets applause. We sometimes reward the person who can deliver the most devastating insult, and then we act surprised when people start behaving that way in real life. If you repeatedly tell an audience that cruelty is confidence, that humiliation is entertainment, and that tearing somebody down is a form of power, eventually somebody is going to believe you. Now, I'm not blaming television or entertainment for every mean comment on social media. That's too easy. Adults are responsible for their own behavior. But I do think we need to examine the culture we're creating. What are we rewarding? What gets the most likes? What gets the most views? What gets shared? Sometimes kindness gets a few hearts, but cruelty gets 50,000 comments. A thoughtful response might disappear, while a vicious insult becomes the comment everyone screenshots and reposts. Social media platforms are designed around engagement, and engagement doesn't always distinguish between positive attention and negative attention. If outrage gets people talking, outrage can spread. If cruelty gets attention, cruelty can become content. And when people see that the nastiest comment gets the most reactions, they may begin to believe that being the cruelest person in the room is the same thing as being the most powerful. And let's talk about the women who try to stop it, because I have noticed something else. Sometimes one woman will come into a comment section and say, "Can we stop?" Let's focus on her accomplishment instead of her appearance. Or she'll say, I don't agree with her, but this is getting too personal. And instead of the conversation calming down, that woman gets attacked too. Suddenly, she's a fan. She's accused of defending somebody who doesn't deserve defending. She's told she's too sensitive. She's called names. She's told to mind her business. And now you've gone from one woman being attacked to two women being attacked because the second woman dared to say, maybe we're going too far. And that is where I want to ask, when did defending basic human decency become taking someone's side? You don't have to like somebody to believe they shouldn't be bullied. You don't have to support someone's decisions to believe they don't deserve humiliation. You don't have to agree with someone to say, that's too far. We have somehow created this idea that if you defend a person from cruelty, you must agree with everything that person has ever done. No, sometimes I'm not defending the person, I'm defending the boundary. I'm saying there is a line and we're crossing it. And I think women need to talk about another uncomfortable subject. Competition. Sometimes women compete with women in ways that aren't obvious at first. Someone else's beauty can make another woman feel insecure. Someone else's success can make another woman question her own accomplishments. Someone else's marriage can make another woman question her relationship. Someone else's career can make another woman question where she is in life. Someone else's youth can remind another woman of her age. Someone else's confidence can make an insecure person uncomfortable. And instead of dealing with those feelings internally, sometimes people attack the person who triggered them. It's easier to say, she's fake, than to admit her success makes me feel like I'm falling behind. It's easier to say, she's not even pretty, than to admit, I wish I felt as confident as she does. It's easier to tear someone down than to confront whatever their success brought up inside of us. But here's the problem. Another woman's success does not make you less successful. Another woman's beauty does not take away yours. Another woman's marriage doesn't invalidate your relationship status. Another woman's career doesn't mean you failed. Another woman's confidence doesn't mean you have none. Another woman's accomplishment isn't a subtraction from your life. There is room at the table. There can be more than one successful woman, more than one beautiful woman, more than one talented woman, more than one leader, more than one athlete, more than one entrepreneur, and more than one woman who gets the opportunity. So why are we fighting over crumbs when there may be a whole table available? I also think social media has changed the way we experience disagreement. In real life, most of us know that people are complicated. Your friend can do something you don't like, and you can still love her. Your sister can make a decision you disagree with, and you can still talk to her. Your coworker can have an opinion you think is ridiculous, and you can still work together the next day. But online, we've created these camps. You're either for her or against her. You're either a supporter or a hater. You're either defending someone or attacking them. There seems to be very little room for, I don't agree with her, but I'm not going to participate in humiliating her. And I think we need more of that middle ground because let's be honest, we don't have to like everybody. I want to make that very clear. I'm not asking women to become best friends with every woman they encounter. I'm not asking you to celebrate behavior you find offensive. I'm not asking you to pretend you admire somebody you don't. I'm not asking you to suppress your opinions. What I'm asking is whether we can disagree without deliberately trying to hurt somebody. Can we say, I don't like what she did without saying she's worthless? Can we say, I think she's wrong without saying she's ugly? Can we say, I disagree with her decision without bringing her children, body, age, or family into it? Can we criticize the behavior without attacking the person? That's a skill, and maybe it's one we need to teach again, because if you have children watching this behavior, they're learning from us. Little girls are watching grown women attack other women online. They're watching women compare bodies. They're watching women criticize appearances. They're watching women celebrate another woman's embarrassment. And then we wonder why young girls struggle with confidence, comparison, and self-worth. Boys are watching it too. They're learning what we consider acceptable. They're learning how women talk to one another. They're learning whether cruelty is funny. They're learning whether humiliation is entertainment. So, this isn't just about social media comments. Culture is being taught in real time. And I want to talk about something else that I think deserves attention. Sometimes people say, well, if she can't handle the comments, she shouldn't be online. I don't agree with that. We cannot make the person receiving the abuse responsible for the behavior of the people abusing the platform. If someone walks into a restaurant wearing a beautiful dress and five people start insulting her, we wouldn't say, well, she shouldn't have worn the dress. If someone goes to work and people begin humiliating them, we don't say, well, they shouldn't have come to work. If somebody posts a picture online, that doesn't give everyone else a license to behave badly. We have to maintain some personal responsibility for what we choose to type. And here's another question. Would you say it if she were standing directly in front of you? That's one of the tests I want people to start using before they hit post. If that woman were standing 3 feet away from you, looking you directly in your eyes, would you say those exact words? Would you comment on her body? Would you call her ugly? Would you tell her she's worthless? Would you make fun of her face? Would you bring up something personal? If the answer is no, then why does the screen suddenly make it acceptable? A screen doesn't remove the responsibility. A username doesn't remove the humanity. And a disagreement doesn't give you permission to be cruel. So, have women gotten cattier? I don't know if I would say women as a whole have become meaner. There have always been mean girls. There have always been jealous people. There have always been women who competed in unhealthy ways. But what I do think has changed is our visibility and amplification. We can now see the behavior happening in massive numbers. We can watch it unfold in real time. We can participate in it without ever leaving our homes. And because the internet can amplify everything, behavior that might once have happened privately can now become a public spectacle. That's what I think we need to pay attention to. Maybe this isn't a new generation of mean girls. Maybe it's an old behavior with new technology. And that might be even more important to recognize because technology didn't invent jealousy. Technology didn't invent insecurity. Technology didn't invent gossip. Technology didn't invent competition. Technology didn't invent women being cruel to one another. But technology gave those behaviors a microphone, an audience, a comment section, and a way to reach thousands of people in a matter of minutes. That's powerful, and with power comes responsibility. So, what do we do about it? I think we start with ourselves. Before you comment, ask yourself, what is my intention? Am I trying to contribute something? Am I trying to correct misinformation? Am I trying to hold someone accountable? Or am I just trying to hurt her because I don't like her? If you're angry, step away. If you're jealous, acknowledge it. If you disagree, explain why without attacking her appearance. If you don't like her, scroll. You are not required to participate in every conversation. And women, let's stop believing that another woman's light makes ours dimmer. Let her win. Let her be beautiful. Let her be successful. Let her wear the outfit. Let her start the business. Let her win the championship. Let her get the promotion. Let her be confident. Let her be different. Let her make mistakes. And if she does something wrong, hold her accountable for what she actually did, not for every insecurity you can find about her. Because here's something I've learned. You don't have to tear someone down to stand tall. You don't have to make another woman ugly to feel beautiful. You don't have to make another woman stupid to feel intelligent. You don't have to make another woman unsuccessful to feel successful. You don't have to make another woman lonely to feel loved. You don't have to make another woman small to make yourself feel big. And perhaps that's the conversation we need to have with the next generation. Girls, you don't have to be the mean girl to be the powerful girl. You don't have to humiliate somebody to be confident. You don't have to have the last word. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to destroy another woman to prove that you're strong. And grown women, we have to model that too, because we can't tell young girls, don't bully other girls, while grown women are sitting online doing exactly that to other grown women. We have to practice what we're teaching. So, Jules, I'm going to leave you with some questions because I really want this episode to become a conversation. Have you noticed what feels like a new mean girl culture online? Do you think women are harder on other women than they used to be? Or are we simply seeing it more because social media puts everything in front of us? Why do you think women participate in online pile-ons against other women? Is it jealousy? Is it competition? Is it insecurity? Is it entertainment? Is it anonymity? Is it the desire to belong to the group? Or have we simply become too comfortable saying things online that we would never say face to face? And here's another question I really want you to think about. When you see a woman being attacked online, do you speak up, scroll past, or join the conversation? And if you do speak up, have you ever been attacked simply because you defended somebody else? Because maybe that's where the real change begins. Maybe the goal isn't to make every woman love every other woman. Maybe the goal is much simpler. Can we stop enjoying each other's humiliation? Can we disagree without destroying? Can we compete without becoming enemies? Can we hold each other accountable without dehumanizing one another? Can we see another woman succeed without immediately looking for a reason she doesn't deserve it? Can we say, that's not my favorite person, but that's still somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, somebody's sister, somebody's friend, and somebody who deserves basic human dignity? Because you never know what somebody is carrying. You never know what somebody is going through, and you never know what your words might do to someone who is already struggling. So maybe there doesn't need to be a new generation of mean girls. Maybe we can create something different. Not women holding hands and singing songs of healing every single day. Not women pretending to agree with everything. Not women refusing to hold one another accountable, but women who can say, I don't agree with you, but I don't have to destroy you. I don't like your decision, but I don't have to attack your appearance. I think you're wrong, but I don't have to make you feel worthless. And maybe most importantly, your success does not threaten mine. That's the kind of sisterhood I think is worth talking about. Women don't have to agree to respect one another. We don't have to be friends to have boundaries. We don't have to like each other to show basic decency. And we certainly don't have to join the circle and start chanting, get her, go lower. Sometimes the strongest woman in the room is the one who looks around at everybody attacking another woman and says, okay, that's enough. That's not weakness. That's character. That's maturity. And maybe that's the kind of mean girl era we actually need to end. I'm Jade, and this is the Fishbowl with Jade, where we don't always have the answers, but we're never afraid to ask the uncomfortable questions. So, Jules, put on your scuba gear. We're going beneath the surface. Until next time, dive deep, think deeper, and remember, you don't have to tear somebody down to rise.